I don't think I've ever seen you without headphones on.
It's stupid.
It's not stupid. I'm just curious.
Most of the time, if I don't have music on, I get the panic.
What's the panic?
Like, time feels like it's drifting by. I feel like I'm wasting something.
So you try and block it out?
It's not like that. Sometimes I'm not even sure what I'm supposed to be feeling. Some days I feel nothing at all. But you pick the right song, it holds you in the moment, gives it meaning. Because the music's going somewhere, and you're going with it.
Now let's have a groping hand for everybody who can understand. Life's a beat without a bond.
Mixtape released the other day. And if you've been following the channel for a little bit, you would know that I've been looking forward to this game tremendously. This game was announced at a Xbox showcase a little bit ago. I want to say it was probably 2 or 3 years ago now. And pretty much right off the bat, I was someone vying for this game. I made a video talking about how great it looks and how I was a little worried a little bit ago because we didn't have any information, but it came out finally the other day. And you can probably tell from the title of this video and the reviews for this game kind of across the board, it is easily one of the best games of the year for a lot of people. And it completely made me rethink about life. Like genuinely, I had a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for here? I had a lot of inner conversations with myself while playing this game because it's just one of those games that makes you think. Mixtape was developed by Beethoven? I'm just gonna say Beethoven and Dinosaur. That's what I'm gonna call them. And they are now some of my favorite developers out there. I wanna say this is their second game. I know that they made another music-based game, so they just need to keep making games about music. But it was published by someone that I think most people who've played a lot of video games would know, Annapurna. Annapurna Interactive has done a lot. They've published a lot of games. They're publishing the upcoming Silent Hill Townfall, which it looks amazing. Bigger games like Stray, Cocoon, which was a huge indie game, Outer Wilds, which is another big game, and personally my favorite game they've ever touched, What Remains of Edith Finch. I can never say that game name right, and I love that game. That's really embarrassing. But Mixtape probably makes me feel the closest to What Remains, just in terms of the story, in terms of a lot of the emotion, and a lot of the mini game elements here. But we'll touch on that in a second. Why is everybody loving Mixtape so much? Well, it kind of starts with the opening of the game. The opening of this game is that infamous skateboard scene that kind of took the internet by storm when the first trailer came out. And it's not the first time you do it, or I should say it's not the only time you really do it. I could probably play an entire game of just the skateboarding here because it just feels really good. And right off the bat, you are hit with strong music choices. Now, this game follows 3 characters. It's Cassandra, Slater, and something Rockford. I just refer to her as Rockford in my brain, but she's the main character in the game. And these 3 are on one last day of kind of reconciliation, kind of just going down memory lane one last time before they all kind of grow up. This game is a very, very 1980s inspired teen movie coming of age story, and it is that to a T, meaning that a lot of the dialogue is kind of cringe, but in a teenager way. If you're someone like me in your early 20s, you probably remember being a teenager, and when I look back at photos, videos, or just overall memories of being a teenager, we were super fucking cringe. I mean, look at right now. Look at teenagers now. I mean, we all make fun of them all the time. Like Gen Alpha gets roasted all of the time for being cringy. Millennials were no different. So this makes a ton of sense. It's the trio's last night of high school, and they're making their way to their last party and just reminiscing the entire game. And a lot of this game takes place as memories, at least for the playable aspects of this game. A lot of it is taking place at previous points in time, and it is done astronomically well, in my opinion. I think that the writing decisions and just the overall creative decisions for this game are top notch. Like I said, it feels like a bad teen film, but done purposely. It's not trying to be good writing in the same vein as a game like Elden Ring would be, for example. The dialogue in that game is insane, and that's because they really put a lot of effort into making it feel that way. And Mixtape does the same, but just in a completely different direction, at least in my opinion. Basically, what the premise of this game, Rockford is on her way to New York in a day to become a music supervisor, which is essentially someone who chooses music to go along with scenes, whether it's radio, TV, video games, for a real life example. And through her and Slater and Cassandra's journey in this very short adventure, you can become like a music supervisor yourself because of just how great the music choices for each level of this game are. It honestly feels like the music composers and the people that put the soundtracks together to fit for each level of this game were there from the very start. It doesn't feel like the game was made and then they had music composers come in and compose music based around the levels. It almost feels like the levels were based around the songs for a majority of the game, which is a super cool feeling. Bella DeLong is the voice of Rockford and just an absolute standout performance here. The fourth wall narrative breaking in this game was not something I expected, and it really took me off guard, especially when they kind of did the Alan Wake 2 thing of intercutting real life footage with gameplay, and it was just done really well, especially at the start. It was just like right in your face, and I really liked that. But her chemistry with the voice actor for Slater, Max Corman, and then Jessica Ma for Cassandra, they feel like they've been friends for a long time, and it feels like they are really a group of just basic kids from the 80s. I don't really know the actors personally that well. I've never really followed voice actors in general, but you can tell that this era in particular, whether it's these characters or this game or even movies from that time period, really means something to each of them because of how good their performance is across the board. Slater feels like the most stereotypical 80s dude from a group that gets high a lot, and I love it. It's so good. But like I said, the characters feel extremely real while also juggling the over-exaggeration of the genre. If you don't know a lot about 80s and 90s movies, they were very, very over-exaggerated, and that time period in general is very over-exaggerated in a ton of different medias. Whether it's movies made today to talk about the 80s or 90s, whether it's documentaries, whether it's anything, that was a very exaggerating time period, especially for the United States. And it is super cringeful sometimes to look back at those movies or TV shows or listen to the radio from that time or music, but it's it has a whole different vibe to it. And again, some of the dialogue in this game, I do think takes it a little too far. There are certain parts of this game where it's just so outlandish, and some of the things they say, you're just like, okay, that was just, nobody in their right mind would say that. But I mean, when I think about things I used to say as a teenager, probably think the same, to be completely honest with you. But the emotion here seeps through their performances and just through the story of this game. You've heard people talk about it. I'll admit it, I teared up at this game 2 separate times, and I don't even really know why. I don't know if it's because of the performance or because of the writing or because of the overall story and what's being told. Something about this game just hit me in the emotional feel. I had a very similar friend group situation to this in high school, and it was a very hard thing to do, grow up, and you can feel that in this game. You can tell that this time period for the writers was very important to them, and they still think about it, and I think that's really cool. But these characters feel like real kids having a real emotional problem. It's kind of dropped right at the start of the game. You can tell immediately that Cassandra has some resentment because Rockford is abandoning Slater and hers plan to go on this huge road trip just to go to New York to try to become a music supervisor. Wow, I just like completely told you the entire story of this game in 10 seconds without even trying. But that rift, that little emotional hinge that is introduced right at the start of the game is the base for this whole adventure. And I just love that because it's just so real. I always think that the best stories in any media are the ones that pull from real emotion, from real adversity and are just exaggerated just a little bit just to make it feel a little whimsical. Okay, well, you guys are going to hear a little bit of a audio change because I was mid-sentence when my camera died. So I'm just going to have to finish this the old-fashioned way with my microphone. But like I was saying, the emotional conflict that brews from the start of this game that just carries on through is so good. Now, this game is not perfect. Not at all. This is not a game for everybody. Now, I know by the title, I said that this game is a once-in-a-generation experience, and I actually stand by that a lot. Mostly because this game makes me feel a lot like what happened to Edith Finch, that game, right? And there hasn't been a game that makes me feel like that since it, and Mixtape came and did it. But if you are not someone that likes interactive games, this is not going to be a game for you. In fact, even people that really like interactive games might find it hard to play this game because there's just not a lot of interactiveness. However, the interactiveness that we do get is top notch. This is not a game that I think I'll be able to play for a couple years, but I guarantee you when I'm still making videos in 5 years, I will come back and replay this game for its anniversary because it is that good. This very much is a one and done type of game, at least for me, unless they add some story DLC or something, which I kind of hope they don't. I think that the story here, like I said, is perfect and it didn't need to be longer. And I actually respect studios that know when to stop themselves than the other way around. Now, if this game had a really bad story and the story felt really rushed and the characters didn't feel real whatsoever, then I think the shortness of this game would be a problem. However, I really respect the devs for knowing when to cut it. They could have probably pushed this game to 5 to 8 hours and it just would have felt inflated because all of the emotions, all of the conflict, everything is pretty much at its end at the end of the game. And I think that that is something that I respect more than anything else. But again, this game isn't perfect. I would have liked some more interactive stuff, but that's probably the only thing I can complain about, honestly. This year has been insane for games. We have genuinely gotten games that have been better than most game of the years have been over the last couple of years, outside of a few. Like my game award video at the end of this year is going to be really hard to make because I'm just going to have to really try to narrow it down. I know I don't do ratings on this channel whatsoever, so I'm not going to give you a number, but if you watch some of the other reviews from this year, this game is tied for #1 with Pragmata for Game of the Year for me. I've seen a lot of people say it's their Game of the Year. I've seen a lot of people say that they didn't even want to try the game. Again, I will say that you should probably give it a try if you think it looks interesting to you, or just go watch Hollow Point, the guy who does walkthroughs, play the game because he has like a 2.5 hour long video on it and it's the whole game. But yeah, I'm gonna rest now because I have to kind of mentally prepare for the Lego Batman. Check out some of my other videos at the end here, and this has been Nate, otherwise known as Wicked, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.